I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.
Hello and welcome to Around the World in 88 Tales, the project that I'm doing with the museum, the Royal Albert Memorial Museum here in Exeter. I'm David Heathfield, and today it's my great pleasure to introduce to you a storyteller and a friend and fellow educator, Jean Hale, in New York City. Hi, Jean.
Hello, David. So good to be here with you.
It's great to see you as well. And not just to see you, but to hear you and, like you say, be with you. And Jean, I know you're a lover of stories from different cultures. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself as a storyteller and, well, tell us about yourself.
Yes, well, thank you, David. I'm here in New York City on the Upper West Side, close to Central Park. And I'm an educator. I've taught reading and early literacy and English to speakers of other languages. But I'm also a story lover and a story listener and a storyteller. And I'm so delighted to be part of your project because I think it's such an important project and you are truly connecting us all around the world. And the Royal Albert Memorial Museum, I'm just honored to be here with you and to be with other marvelous tellers from different parts of the world because I truly believe, David, that when we study stories and listen to other people's stories and dive deeply into them, well, we gain new insights and new wisdom. And I know the stories open my heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are singing from the same song sheet. Absolutely, how I feel about it as well. So, people are coming into the Facebook live space from Brazil, from here in Exeter, from around the world. And today's object, what happens is I'm going to tell you a story, Jean, about an artifact from here in the museum. And I hope you will respond to my story with another story, maybe to do with the same artifact or that is inspired by this object, or it could be inspired by the story itself. So the object that I'm going to show you is this. It's a very small and beautiful coin. And you might be thinking, pure gold coin, a Roman coin, a golden aureus from 2,000 years ago. How come David is actually holding this coin? But I have to confess, this is actually a replica of the coin. You can see the goddess on the back. It's a replica of the coin that was dug up in Exeter 100 years ago in this Roman city. And 2,000 years ago, this was one of the first cities in the country. And this week, the Royal Albert Memorial Museum has Roman Week. So this week every year, remembering our origins as a Roman city.
Well, I looked on your website, David, and there's such wonderful things about the Exeter time trail and the Roman fortress and the Roman town. It's delightful. When I come and visit, I will be so happy.
So this photograph is the original coin. And as I was saying, it's Emperor Vespasian. And you can see the goddess series is on the back. And, well, it was worth 6 weeks' wages for an ordinary soldier. The story I'm going to tell you today doesn't involve a rich person who might have gold coins, but rather a very poor person. And it's a story that I learned from Souad Fadel, a woman from Libya who lives here in Exeter. So thank you, Souad, for sharing this story with me so I can share it with everybody here today. I'm going to begin. Kanya Makan. There was and there was not a poor, poor man who wandered along the street. He had no home. He had almost nothing, just a crust of bread. But as he came along the street, this poor and hungry man caught the smell of meat roasting, a delicious smell. He was so hungry, he came towards that smell, and there outside a rich man's house, there was roasting lamb on a spit above the fire. And how good it smelled! Oh, I wish I could eat some of that meat, but I am not a thief. Rather, I will take a little bit of the flavour, the taste of that meat. And the poor man stood with his crust of bread above that roasting meat so he could catch some of the flavour. He stood there a short while and then took that bread and tasted it. And it tasted good. But at that moment, out of his house jumped the rich man. I saw you, thief, thief. You stole the taste of my meat. What? Said the poor man. I did nothing bad. I didn't steal any meat. I just held my bread, took a little of the flavour. Oh, I didn't steal anything. You have taken the taste of my meat, and you must pay. How much money have you got? I only have 3 coins. It's all I have in the whole world. Well, give them to me. I will not, said the poor man. If you won't give them to me, said the rich man, we will go to the judge. Well, the rich man dragged the poor man along the street to the courtroom, and there sat the judge. Now, this judge was Joha. And if you're an Arabic speaker, you will know that Joha is a wise fool and sometimes a trickster. And there are many stories about Joha or Nasruddin right across the Middle East. And Joha looked at this rich man dragging the poor man into the courtroom and said, "What's going on here? This man stole the taste of my meat. Explain." And the rich man told the whole story. "Is it true?" said Joha to the poor man. "Did you do this?" "Yes, I put my bread above the meat, but I didn't take anything. I didn't take any meat." "Then you must pay," said Joha. "How much money have you got?" "I only have these 3 coins, nothing else. It's all I have in the world." "And give them to me," said Joha. And Joha took the coins from the poor man. "Give them to me," said the rich man. "They're mine, they're mine." "Wait," said Joha. "Wait and listen." And Joha took a plate and dropped the 3 coins onto it. "Did you hear that?" said Joha. "Yes," said the rich man. "Now give the coins to me." Joha took the coins, and for all of you who are listening, what do you think Joha did? Can you guess what Joha did? You can write in the chat if you want to, on the Facebook, if you're with us live. I'll tell you what Joha did. He took those coins and gave them back to the poor man. "What's going on?" said the rich man. "The sound of his coins has paid for the taste of your meat."
Oh.
That's the story.
True wisdom, yes.
True wisdom indeed. Oh, let me just see if anybody could guess the end of that story before I gave it away. Okay, so we've got Binod here. Hi, Binod in Nepal. And Tere in Argentina is with us as well. And Cora saying a nice story. Did any of you guess what Joha was going to do? That wise judge, in this case quite wise. Justice was done in this case.
Yes,
If
indeed.
only it wasn't always as simple as this.
Mm. Oh, yes.
Or if it was as simple as this, I should say. So that's the story that I thought of when I saw this beautiful coin.
Okay.
And Jean, can I invite you to respond with another story?
Oh, yes, David, I'd be so happy to do so. And there are two things about the story and the coin. You had said that the goddess Ceres is on the back of the coin. And I know she was the goddess of the harvest and grain, and also mothering and taking care of her daughter and fertility. And also the coin, the gold coin. Ah, yes. Um, there's a lovely story that I first heard when I visited the most northernly island of the United Kingdom, Shetland. And Lawrence Tulloch, a marvelous storyteller, no longer with us, but he told this story. But he also said he'd heard Liz Weir tell it in Ireland. So as stories travel, this one did too. A young man lived with his wife and his parents on a small farm. They had no children, but he took good care of his aging parents. Sadly, his mother had lost her eyesight, and his father, once strong and powerful, could no longer pick up the farm tools because his hands were stiff and gnarled. But the young couple did all the work happily. They planted turnips and cabbages, kale. They had a little barley and oats and potatoes, always potatoes. But this one year, things just were not growing. And there was absolutely nothing except for the potatoes. And when the young man went to harvest the potatoes, he pulled one out of the ground, but it was black and mushy, and it was completely rotten. And the young man, he pulled out another and another, and they were useless. And he thought to himself, what will we do? Winter will come and we will have no food. We will starve. And he sat down on a rock and he wept. He cried and cried. And then he could feel that someone was next to him. And when he looked, there was a little wee man, one of the little people who live underneath the ground. And the little man said, I wish I could grant you 3 wishes, but things are hard for us under the ground too. I can only give you 1 wish. Go home, think about it, and come back tomorrow. Well, the young man, he ran home, and the first person he saw was his mother, and he told her what had happened. Oh, she said, please, my son, wish for my eyesight. Oh, I've never seen my wonderful daughter-in-law, and if I could see, I could help on the farm. But his father was listening, and his father said, no, no, my son, you must wish for gold. If you wish for gold coins, we could buy food and we could buy a better house, and we could pay for a doctor to help your mother with her eyesight. Ask for gold. Now his wife, his dear wife, inside the house, she said to him, my darling husband, I respect your mother and your father, but you and I have wanted a child for 10 years. We have prayed and wished. Please, my beloved, ask for a baby. There is no more precious wish. Oof, the young man, he didn't know what to do. His only wish was to make his family happy. And that night he could not sleep. He tossed and he turned and he could not. What should he wish for? What would you wish for? Well, in the morning, as the sun was rising, he knew. It came to him all at once. And very quietly and calmly, he walked back to the rock. And there was the little man waiting. Do you have a wish? Oh, yes, I do. And the young man took a deep breath and he said, I wish that my mother could see my wife rocking our baby in a golden cradle. What was that? Say that again, said the little man. Oh, I wish that my mother could see my wife rocking our baby in a golden cradle. Your wish will be granted. And it was.
Wow, what a fantastic story, and so beautifully told, Jean. So beautifully told. We've had two stories which I would call, even though they're very short, they're full of wisdom. Both inspired by this gold coin from the museum, and we've been travelling with these stories as well, because we've had stories. Well, the story that I told, I learned from Souad Fadel here in Libya, who now lives in the UK. But a story from the Roman times, and of course both Libya and England were within the Roman Empire. And then we hopped across on the RAMM magic carpet to New York, where we are with you. And you've told us a story that goes back to the north of the United Kingdom and Ireland, told by Shetland and Irish storytellers. And not only that, but the story that you told, I know of other variants of that story, for example, from India. So we've got these kind of wonderful themes that go across cultures as well, of the wise one wish. Fantastic. Well, what can I say, Jean? It's been an absolute delight to meet up with you, and thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.
It's been lovely knowing you and meeting you and reading. I have your wonderful book here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jean. Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jean Hale.
I can't buy the trees, I can't buy the deepest seas, but it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.